What does it mean to get food without lifting a finger? Scooby-Doo and Shaggy are hired by a caliph to become royal food tasters. Such an attractive offer appears, so how could the two of them possibly refuse? However, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy do not expect the journey to the palace to be so difficult because they have to travel by flying carpet. Before long, all three land safely, but Scooby-Doo and Shaggy are still shaking with fear. It is not until the flying carpet driver loudly calls out that the two of them finally dare to open their eyes. Next, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy go to speak with the royal guard about their new job. They are quickly brought to meet the royal chef, who asks whether they have any experience. When it comes to eating, no one does it better than Scooby-Doo and Shaggy. After hearing this, the royal chef immediately decides to hire both of them, which makes them extremely happy. He then lays out a table completely filled with food. Scooby-Doo and Shaggy do not hesitate to taste dish after dish, but they accidentally eat everything and forget that they are only food tasters. A royal kitchen worker quickly appears to clear away all the dishes, seeing that Scooby-Doo and Shaggy eat all the food. He says that they get themselves into serious trouble. At first, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy think the royal kitchen worker is talking about the food being poisoned, so the two of them dramatically collapse onto the floor. However, after some time passes and nothing happens, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy stand back up. Only then does the royal kitchen worker explain that since they eat all the food, what is the caliph supposed to eat? After that, the royal chef presents the meal to the caliph. But inside there are only Scooby-Doo and Shaggy. The two of them have no choice but to admit that they eat all of the food, and they do not forget to praise the royal chef's cooking skills. The caliph declares that eating the entire royal lunch is a serious crime and that both of them can be beheaded. Hearing this, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy immediately run away. However, they do not realize that they accidentally run into the caliph's harem, so Shaggy disguises himself as one of the harem girls. Seeing royal guards daring to enter this area makes the caliph furious, and he orders them to leave at once. Next, the caliph wants to choose a wife for himself, but because he is nearsighted, he fails to recognize Shaggy in disguise. He even takes a liking to Shaggy at first sight. Shaggy quickly claims that he has a story he wants to tell the caliph, intending to make him fall asleep and create a chance to escape together with Scooby-Doo. Shaggy then tells the story of Aladdin and the magical lamp. Long ago in a certain kingdom, there was a handsome prince who was still unmarried. Although Haman the vizier had tried his best to find a princess for him, the prince was not interested in any of them. The sultan was deeply troubled, believing that marriage would bring meaning and happiness to the prince's life. The prince himself also had his own sorrow. He longed for a happy marriage but had not yet found the right person. There had once been a princess engaged to the prince, but tragedy had struck when she had been kidnapped as a child. The sultan grew increasingly angry, fearing that he would have no heir. Having no other choice, he ordered all eligible women in the kingdom to present themselves before the prince the next day. However, Haman argued that the prince should be allowed to find happiness on his own. At the same time, the prince noticed a girl in the courtyard below, but she discovered him looking at her and ran away. He wanted to explain that it was all a misunderstanding, but it was already too late. As for Haman, years before, he had been the one who had kidnapped the princess under the command of the Lord of the Amulet. Everything had happened exactly as the Lord of the Amulet had foreseen. Haman's goal had been to ensure that the Sultan would have no heir and that the prince would never be able to marry, so that he could take the throne for himself. Still fearing that his plan might fail, the Lord of the Amulet suggested that he search for the magical lamp. The magical lamp was hidden in a cave that appeared once every 3 years during a blue moon. Whoever possessed the magical lamp would be granted 3 wishes. The Lord of the Amulet also warned that only a person pure of heart could safely enter and leave the cave. Knowing that Haman himself was not pure of heart, the Lord of the Amulet suggested that he seek out Aladdin to carry out the task for him. Later, Haman went to Aladdin's house to lure her. He claimed that the Sultan was gravely ill and that only the magical lamp could restore his health. He insisted that Aladdin was the only one capable of retrieving it, so she agreed. Meanwhile, the prince searched everywhere for Aladdin. Perhaps he had fallen in love at first sight, but everywhere he looked he saw only unfamiliar girls and no sign of her. Moreover, the Sultan's decree announcing the prince's intention to marry spread throughout the kingdom, so young women kept gathering around him. He struggled to break free and unexpectedly ran into Aladdin again. Although she also had feelings for the prince, she had already promised to help Haman and had to leave. The prince tried to follow her but was blocked by a passing caravan. Night soon fell and Aladdin arrived at her meeting place with Haman. The light of the full moon shone down and revealed the hidden entrance where the magical lamp was kept. Before Aladdin descended, Haman reminded her that she must keep a pure heart in order to return safely. However, faced with such a magnificent sight, Aladdin could not restrain herself. She absent-mindedly picked a flower and the ground immediately began to tremble. In the end, she still managed to find the magical lamp. But her moment of greed caused her to become trapped and the passage between the two worlds sealed shut. Overwhelmed with guilt, she blamed herself and believed that she had caused the Sultan's death. On top of that, the prince was to choose a bride the next day, and if she could not escape, she would lose her chance to marry the one she loved. Not knowing what to do, Aladdin noticed an inscription on the magical lamp that instructed her to rub it for a surprise. She did so and a genie appeared. Yogi Bear awoke from a 1,000-year slumber. He wanted to fill his empty stomach, but all the fruit around him was made of gold. At that moment, the magical lamp released another bear, which was Boo Boo Bear. He was Yogi Bear's sidekick and a genie in training. As soon as Boo Boo Bear saw Aladdin, he realized that they had been released to grant her 3 wishes. Meanwhile, the Sultan was unable to sleep, so he summoned Haman, unaware that Haman was the one who had been plotting to poison him. Since he had failed to obtain the magical lamp, Haman resorted to preparing a powerful sleeping potion. At that moment, the prince appeared but looked sorrowful. Although he did not find the girl he loved, he still agreed to marry the next day to fulfill the Sultan's wishes. However, the prince did not expect Haman to take advantage of his distraction and drug him. Haman quickly locked the prince in the dungeon and disguised himself to take his place. Back in the cave, Yogi Bear asked Aladdin what her first wish was. Though she hesitated at first, she finally spoke her heart. Her first wish was to restore the Sultan's health, and her second wish was to become worthy of the prince. Upon hearing this, Yogi Bear transformed Aladdin into a beautiful princess and granted her immense wealth befitting her new status. He then brought her to the palace, where the prince was to choose a bride. Countless princesses lined up waiting for their turn. Seeing the overwhelming crowd, Yogi Bear used magic to make them vanish, leaving only Aladdin behind. The palace guards were terrified by what they witnessed, while Aladdin felt relieved that no one stood in her way. Meanwhile, Haman, who was disguised as the prince, tried to locate Aladdin when she suddenly appeared before him. Just then a guard arrived to report that all the princesses had mysteriously disappeared. Instead of worrying, Haman felt delighted because now only Aladdin and the magical lamp remained, although she brought with her great riches. Haman cared only about the magical lamp he had long desired, the moment it was in his hands. He revealed his true identity and immediately rubbed the lamp to summon Yogi Bear. His first wish was to replace the prince permanently and to turn Aladdin back into a common village girl. As soon as Aladdin was thrown into the dungeon, she encountered the real prince, who was also imprisoned there. She quickly searched for a way to free him and prayed for strength to defeat the villain. At the same time, Haman stated his second wish. He wanted to rule the entire universe, not just that kingdom. Yogi Bear and Boo Boo Bear were not surprised, because they were already too familiar with human greed. A power-hungry villain always wanted to dominate everything and could never be satisfied with owning just one kingdom, one beautiful wife, and endless gold and treasures. The wish was granted, and the earth quickly shrank into a marble resting in Haman's palm. However, this became Aladdin's chance to escape the dungeon. She rushed toward the palace gates and saw Haman preparing to make his third wish, refusing to let evil continue unchecked. Aladdin found a way to approach him. Just before he wished for immortality so he could rule the universe forever, Aladdin managed to snatch the magical lamp. At that moment, Yogi Bear changed masters, and Aladdin quickly made the third wish. Everything that had happened was nothing more than a dream. Afterward, the prince learned Haman's true nature and ordered the guards to throw him into prison. At the same time, he saw Aladdin standing right in front of him and proposed to her. Being confessed to by the one she had secretly loved, Aladdin had no reason to refuse. Just then the Sultan stepped forward, delighted that his son had found a bride. Moreover, when the Sultan learned her name, he declared that Aladdin was the long-lost princess the prince had once been engaged to. From that day on, the prince and Aladdin lived happily ever after. After hearing Shaggy's story, the Caliph grows even fonder of him. A girl who excels in domestic skills and is capable of handling both household and state affairs is impossible for him to ignore. The Caliph quickly summons a designer to prepare Shaggy's clothes, and before long Shaggy takes on the appearance of a princess, realizing that marriage is approaching. Shaggy deceives the Caliph with a deconstructed parody of Sinbad the Sailor featuring Magilla Gorilla. In this grand voyage, there was an extremely maniacal pirate captain. Anyone who failed to please him was immediately dismissed. One day the pirate captain suddenly realized that there were no crew members left on his ship, so he posted a recruitment notice. The benefits included 3 full meals a day without missing a single dish. Meanwhile, Magilla Gorilla was preparing for a vacation but forgot which type of ship he had booked. One option was a cruise ship, while the other was an old worn-down pirate ship. Thinking that he did not have enough money for a cruise ship, Magilla Gorilla chose the pirate ship instead. Just as the pirate captain posted the notice, someone arrived immediately, making him overjoyed. Magilla Gorilla only wanted a relaxing holiday but accidentally became a crew member. The pirate captain then cleverly tricked Magilla Gorilla into working for him, unaware that Magilla Gorilla was clumsy and incapable of doing much. Soon the ship set sail and the pirate captain eagerly embarked on a great voyage. When Magilla Gorilla asked about their destination, the pirate captain lied and told him they were going on a treasure hunt. Although Magilla Gorilla was confused, he still went along with it. Before long they discovered a giant egg. Magilla Gorilla easily climbed the mountain, while the pirate captain struggled to make his way up and even grabbed onto a rotten branch that snapped beneath him. Meanwhile, Magilla Gorilla found the giant egg, but the selfish pirate captain insisted that it belonged to him. Realizing that the pirate captain wanted to claim the egg for himself, Magilla Gorilla let him have his way. Without Magilla Gorilla's help, the pirate captain could not lift the massive egg, and all his efforts proved useless. Magilla Gorilla sat and watched as the pirate captain desperately tried to move it. Just as they finally managed to take the egg away, the mother bird returned and realized her egg was missing. Wanting her child back, she forced Magilla Gorilla to grab the giant egg and run, while the pirate captain refused to let go, repeatedly muttering that it belonged to him. Even though they managed to return to the ship, the vessel was far too small for such a massive egg. As a result, the ship nearly sank while the pirate captain struggled to hide the egg from the mother bird. He quickly ordered Magilla Gorilla to pull up the anchor and flee the island. But the mother bird refused to let them escape. She chased after the ship, carrying huge rocks and dropping them into the sea to sink it. With perfect aim, she released a boulder, and the ship finally sank. After escaping from the mother bird, the pirate captain eagerly headed to the stream of precious gems, unaware that it was merely the name of a tourist attraction. As a result, he and Magilla Gorilla waited in line for 3 days and 3 nights. When their turn finally came, the pirate captain did not meet the height requirement. In a fit of anger, he smashed the sign of the themed dark ride, forcing the staff to give in to his demands. The themed dark ride immediately set off, leaving the pirate captain no time to react. They soon arrived at a fake treasure zone. Driven by greed, so the pirate captain attempted to take everything. Unaware that a robotic shark model stood guard behind him, he nearly fell into the shark's mouth if Magilla Gorilla did not pull him back in time. The next stop was the treasure area of Pirate Davy Jones. The pirate captain quickly stole an oval-shaped gem, not realizing that a giant octopus model was also guarding the place. After that, they reached the final attraction. The moment the pirate captain saw the treasure chest, he tried to carry it away. However, greed never brought good results, because a 2-headed dragon suddenly appeared and hurled both of them far away. They eventually returned to the ship, but the pirate captain's greed remained unsatisfied, so he shifted his attention to a golden toothbrush owned by a wealthy Cyclops. They traveled to the Cyclops' home where the golden toothbrush was kept. Because the pirate captain was too frightened, he let Magilla Gorilla go inside alone. The Cyclops willingly allowed Magilla Gorilla to examine the golden toothbrush, unaware that he intended to steal it. By the time the Cyclops realized what had happened, Magilla Gorilla was already running away. However, the Cyclops did not seem worried, because he believed the high cliffs would prevent any escape. When they encountered each other again, the Cyclops calmly asked for the golden toothbrush back and suggested pretending that nothing had happened. However, Magilla Gorilla took advantage of the Cyclops' distraction and hid inside a banana peel, hoping that an eagle would carry him away from the area. The pirate captain quickly moved in to chase the eagle away so he could seize the golden toothbrush for himself. He even abandoned Magilla Gorilla, and both of them nearly got caught by the Cyclops. Despite being left behind, Magilla Gorilla still rescued the pirate captain, seeing them stranded on a tree branch. The Cyclops patiently waited for them to climb down. However, Magilla Gorilla anticipated this and realized that an underground spring beneath the Cyclops' feet was about to erupt. Neither the pirate captain nor Magilla Gorilla realized that the island itself was about to sink. Fortunately, they managed to return to their ship just before the island disappeared completely. To their surprise, the island actually rested on the back of a giant whale. As night fell, the pirate captain and Magilla Gorilla returned to the harbor. Magilla Gorilla sincerely thanked the pirate captain for giving him such an exciting adventure, and he casually gathered all the spoils for himself. which made the pirate captain cry out in despair. While shedding tears, he suddenly remembered that he still possessed the giant egg. However, before he could celebrate, the egg hatched and completely destroyed his ship. After hearing the second story, the Caliph likes Shaggy even more because the tale is extremely entertaining. Shaggy possesses everything the Caliph desires, so he decides that he wants to marry him. Before Shaggy can react, the Caliph already prepares the wedding cake. Seeing this, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy attempt to taste it, but the royal chef discovers their true identities. With no way left to escape, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy say that their final wish is simply to finish the entire cake. However, the Caliph forgives them because Shaggy's story is so captivating that it satisfies him completely. In addition, the Caliph changes Shaggy's position from royal food taster to storyteller.